Hello and welcome to another TCAP recap. Tonight we're doing something a little special. Doing a request from LUD14 on the Hansen vs. Predator subreddit. However, if you want to find it, you need to look for the FansHansenvsPredator. Caught me up at first, but I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Anyway, we are going to check out the wronghead predator, Richard Daniel Breault. And I just remembered why he's called the wronghead Predo. Goddamn, I just struggle to say predator. So, Predo it is. The wronghead Predo. And it's exactly what you think it is. But he is a unique character for a unique request. He's only 19, so he's still a teenager, and he's going after a 13-year-old. He lied about his age and said he was 20. A whole difference, I guess, to not be a teen, maybe. So he actually pretended to be older to impress this underage girl, which backfired in a big way. And he's famous for uncontrollably sobbing endlessly. And it's just like the end of a movie. Like, he's sobbing, he's not moving, the camera pans out. And some say he's still sobbing to this day. On a table in North Carolina, which is where he apparently moved and got married. Good for you, I guess, Richard. Hopefully, they did give him a 10-year sentence, or 10-year restrictions on the, I can't even pronounce what I'm trying to say. See, I think I dabbed a little too much before this, so I had to kind of cool down. I might have jumped into this a little too early, but power through. He got a 10-year stint on the RSO. Apparently he's still on it, which means he either hasn't petitioned to get off it or has been denied. Yeah. It sounded like they wanted to give him a chance because he's so young. 10 years just to keep you under control through your 20s until you're fully mature, and then step out and get it off your back and be a normal member of society. That he's still on it, if he is, I don't know what that would say. It doesn't bode well, that's for sure, because I'm inclined to think that he's been denied, because why wouldn't you petition to get off that? But if he's, become a mountain man living off the grid, I guess it wouldn't matter. But anyway, let's get on to the video. It's pretty entertaining. He's not a dumb kid. He knows instantly that he's in trouble. His chat log is juvenile and just too sexual, just gross. Yeah, it's not a good look. It does not look good. So even though he's 19, this is just out of hand for anybody who's an adult. And even a 17-year-old saying this stuff to a 12 or 13-year-old would make me, uncomfortable. But anyway, let's get started.
Some brought candy, some brought condoms. But one man brought something we didn't expect. A warning, some of what you are about to see and hear is...
Maybe that's Jerry Griffith with the pie. Although they asked him to bring the pie, so it wouldn't have been a surprise. Oh man, what could it be? What could it be? It's probably really obvious. But it's eluding me for the time being.
What's it?
Comment below if you know what the surprising thing was.
Here's Chris Hansen. Well, how do you understand?
Simply put, one guy has his in her mouth.
David Demers.
Oh, jeez.
The other guy has his in her
Today's video.
or her.
Oh, dang.
What?
Did you still want me to check my other friend?
What?
Well, I don't care. It's up to you. I think he's saying, do you want me to check my other friend again? He strolls into the place pretty casually. We're gonna have to listen to this fuckhead again to see his entrance.
The other guy has his in her or her.
Oh, dang.
He enters with a flourish, throwing that curtain aside. Alright, let's see if I can hear what she's saying. You want me to check on my other friend again. I'm pretty sure that's what she says. Is there a dog here? Richard enters. I mean, so this was in January 2006, and I was not quite, like, I would have been more the decoy's age than Richard's age, and it's Richard, not Richard, as Chris will mockingly call him throughout the interview. And this just looked like every single dude at the mall. Everybody just had that same, like, haircut, and his photo on the perverted justice site. This was also a very common thing to see. Like, this was every single MySpace profile picture of my friends who thought way too much, like, were in love with themselves or just thought they were hot shit. They were doing the subtle flexing. You gotta have, can't smile, man. I have one, my best friend, actually, my sometimes co-host on this show, hopefully, Ryan, he had just the worst pictures of this variety. Like, god damn, they were so ugly, but he couldn't see it at the time. Anyway, I digress. You got the boombox. I think everybody had the same boombox. The little twin bed. Yeah, this is very much mid-2000s, which was a much... it was more free time to live. We did not have the problems we have today. We still had some serious problems. You know, the Iraq War, George Bush being president. But, you know, compared to now, that was a walk in the park. But let's get back to Richard. He's acting pretty cool as he enters. I imagine he has to be nervous because maybe he just doesn't realize the risk and the exposure that he faces doing this, and that's why he can be so calm. As he walks in, at least. We'll see what happens once he gets busted.
Excuse me, sir. Would you mind if I this side?
Excuse me, sir.
And bring it back with you, please. I see that over there. What's going on?
You can tell immediately there's a difference in Richard. He's got his shoulders hunched over.
I see that over there.
He's got his arms tight at his side. He's holding the bag in front of his dick, like right in front of him protectively. And yeah, he's not the confident guy he was just 2 seconds ago.
What's going on? Just get around. What you got in the bag?
The gum chewing. Oh god, the legendary gum chewing. This guy chewed gum and you could hear it 10 miles away, some say. You could hear it through the mountains as it echoed. The noise of this could be used for sonar on a nuclear submarine. So try to ignore it, even though it's hard.
Hunter, comment. How much you taking out of that?
Did Chris start that with asking what's in the bag?
Comment. What you got in a bag? Say it around. What you got in a bag?
Yeah.
Hunter, comment. How much you taking out of that?
He's trying to say it so quietly that it's inaudible, but he can't because Chris is right there. But interesting approach. Sorry, I just slammed my desk. Interesting approach from Chris, just starting off with what's in the bag. I wonder if he can see that it's 3 boxes of condoms and wants to get that on the footage as soon as possible in case Richard bolts. Little does Chris know that Richard ain't going nowhere. Let's continue.
And the rest of them.
The rest of them.
3 boxes of condoms.
Dang!
Had a big afternoon planned? Maybe.
He closes his eyes. Maybe he knows he's in big trouble. I mean, this guy. This is the Riverside sting. So he probably had a nice upbringing. You know, probably goofed off in school and didn't learn too much. Maybe played some sport. I mean, I would say hockey, by the way he looks, because that was a hockey player style where I am. But he's in California, so I don't even know if they play hockey in high schools out there. They probably do. What am I saying? It's in an ice rink, so it could be anywhere.
Had a big afternoon planned? Maybe.
This guy's a virgin. 100%. 3 boxes of condoms is a ridiculous amount. Let's say each one had 12 in it. That's 36 condoms. And this Richard thinks he's going to be able... He just wants to make sure, in case he's feeling particularly horny, that he doesn't run out. You know, if he has a big appetite. Richard, maybe he just expected to have like, bam, 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 just get him out of the way, because he knew it would be a short amount of time. Sick fuck. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm looking at him and I'm laughing, but it's not that funny, because if Chris Hansen hadn't been there, he's a big guy. A 13-year-old girl was the age of the decoy. Frightening. Like, he's 19-year-olds, excuse me, they do crazy shit, bad shit. Like, they're fully capable of doing that kind of stuff, is what I mean. They're no longer children. They're 19. They can join the army and go be killed for their country. And there's no excuse just because he's 19, is what I'm trying basically to get at the long way.
What are you doing? I'm not sure. I think I'm in trouble. You're not sure you're in trouble? Yeah. What's your name?
He's doing those really long blinks. And he knows he's in trouble. He thinks he's in trouble, and he is correct. Okay, let's go, Richard.
I'm sorry, Richard?
I just want to watch him say that again.
I'm not sure. I think I'm in trouble. You're not sure you're in trouble? Yeah. What's your name? Richard. I'm sorry, Richard? Richard. Richard? Yeah. What's your last name?
That eyebrow raise is probably because he's had that same interaction a billion times. My parents named me something. I had 3, my first, middle, last name, for some reason, they started calling me by my middle name when I was a child, when I was 1 year old. And ever since, it's just been an uphill, nonstop battle of having to give my first name to, school teachers, jobs, college, whatever, and then having to explain, oh no, I go by my middle name, which is a lot more unique. Eventually I gave up and just started going by my first name when it was an impersonal situation, so like at my job, in my later years of college, and reserved my middle name for my personal circle. So I have my two identities, although people can be suspicious when you tell them that you go by a different name. So that's a negative. But I'm sure Richard, similar problem, slightly different, but Richard with the D on the end, he probably has to correct that all the time. And he gets a spark back just for that one moment because it lights up that old, God damn it, this again. And he gets a bit of defiance, but doesn't, he's still, it's just his eyebrows. It's nothing else, not his shoulders. He doesn't straighten up or anything. And his mouth must be so dry from nervousness. That's probably why that gum is just smacking.
Richard? Richard? Yeah. Richard Watson. Are you the FBI or cops?
The FBI is his first guess, and then the cops. Maybe it's because Chris isn't wearing, like a patrolman's uniform. Richard immediately jumps to like, oh, this guy's nicely dressed. He must be the FBI. He's just thinking of all the shows he's watched on NBC and ABC and whatnot, like Law and Order and shit. And the nicely dressed ones are always the FBI. We don't get to see Chris in this one, I don't think. But I'm sure he's dressed to the nines. I'm sure. Or maybe because the camera's not on him, he was just having a shit day. He was hungover and kind of coked out. And he was just dressed in like a sweaty, dirty tracksuit. And he just sat in a chair behind the camera. And just told the cameraman, no, we're not getting any reaction shots from me today. Or at least not for the next few hours. Just roll. It's fun to imagine.
But you should probably Where's the Breault? I'm sorry? You had a bad feeling. Yeah, I'm not shouldn't have done anything.
Oh my god, this is just pure gold. This is one of the top tier reactions to just Chris Hansen before the cameras come out. I would say top 5. I'm gonna have to start compiling some lists and doing some research behind the scenes, but oh man, it's gonna be some fun research. I like researching this kind of stuff, these TCAP predos, but one of the better ones, especially with all the bleeps just make it so much better and so much more colorful because you can insert your own curse words in there. You can just think he's saying the worst shit and it sounds better. And also just the way he totally gives up and swings his entire body to the side as he starts cussing. What do you think? I think that's what Chris Hansen said, right? Well, we gotta watch it again. It's that good.
Yeah, Richard Watson. Are you the FBI or cops? Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but you should probably truth. Where's the Breault? I'm sorry?
He smashed his bag, his condoms.
You had a bad feeling. Yeah, I'm not shouldn't have done anything.
You're right about that, Richard.
Why did you have a bad feeling? Because she's underage. She's underage. I've never done anything like that before in my life. You've never done anything like this before? I swear to God. But that doesn't make it any better. I don't know, because if I was a
I'm tempted to think that it's his first time, but he kind of acts suspiciously. Like, he randomly brings up that it's his first time ever, like all the predators who have done it more than once say. And then he immediately looks at Chris and is like, I swear. Instead of just treating it like a casual reality, he treats it like it's something that needs to be dramatized and reinforced. So that makes me think that maybe he's tried to do something, at least trolled the internet for this kind of stuff. I mean, you don't jump straight to showing up at someone's house, or at least most people. I'm sure there are many weirdos and super predators who have, but Richard seems to be just like a normal guy. He could be a fucking psycho behind the scenes, but I don't think he hasn't been in like any major trouble afterwards. So I'm leaning towards just somebody who made a life-altering choice and is justifiably suffering the consequences. So I feel like I'm taking a harder line on Richard because he's younger, so I want to reinforce that it's not an excuse, because I feel like people are going to say, hey, 19 to 13 is only 6 years, dude. I mean, I'm imagining bros telling me that who are in questionable relationships themselves. So maybe I'm just being paranoid. But let's get back to Richard. I'm talking too much.
Here, you're gonna do that doesn't make it.
I want to see his little dramedy again.
Why did you have a bad feeling? Because she's underage. She's underage.
That's a totally normal thing to have a bad feeling about. It doesn't indicate that he had a bad feeling about there being a sting. He's saying he just felt bad about the whole thing, I guess, is what he seems to be trying to say, at least. And he does seem very surprised to see Chris Hansen. So I dare say that he did not prepare for this eventuality. And furthermore, he probably didn't even think that this... I tried to explain this in a prior video, and then I re-listened to it today, and it just sounded so fucking jarbled. So I'm going to have to go back and redo some of those at a later time when I'm a little bit more suave on the microphone. But, you know, there's things that you worry about, and then there are things so far outside your realm of knowledge that you don't even know there's something that you need to worry about. Excuse me. Climate change is like this for a lot of people. They don't even... Anyway, I won't get on my soapbox there. But climate change is real, people. But I don't even think that Richard knew that Chris Hansen, at least, and Dateline To Catch a Predator was something that he even needed to consider. He might have considered the police sting. Doesn't seem like it. But this is beyond his scope of understanding. He doesn't understand the cosmic forces that are at work with NBC, this, you know, Titan broadcasting company, and Chris Hansen, this titan of journalism, tossing him back and forth as money pops out of him, and they just scoop it up. Okay, back to work.
Never done anything like that before in my life? You've never done anything like this before? I swear to God. You know, but that doesn't make it any better. I mean, because if I wasn't here, you were going to do what you were going to do. So it doesn't matter what you've done before, because you're going to do it today.
Wow.
Right?
Chris is schooling him. It's definitely, I would say, because of Richard's age, I think Chris is going with the scared straight. He's talking to him like a principal talks to a troublemaker, just jacked up to 11 because of the circumstances. They're so much more serious than like schoolboy pranks of like spitballs. So, but the tone is still there of the school teacher berating, you know, scolding the student.
With a 13-year-old girl. Those are all the messages, huh? Every single one.
He knows right away.
19. How much? 19. That's not what you said here. 19, dude. I said it was 18. You were 20. I turned 20 in July.
He thought he said he was younger than he was. Richard, it just seems very dramatic. If I saw an older man behaving the same exact way, I would immediately call it as an act. In fact, David Demers did something similar, where he kind of went on this whole, I'm so sorry, I'm such a shithead, like, it's totally deserved, it's in black and white. Gentlemen, have a good night. I'm on to my destiny with prison. And then he walks out and gets arrested. But, on Richard, he is much younger and much more immature, because your brain isn't fully mature until you're around 25, and I can speak from experience that my entire life view changed around age 25, 26, and I went from being a degenerate, I just started focusing on much more long-term things. You kind of realize, oh shit, this life thing, this is serious. Like, I'm not going to be able to stay 21 and 22 and 23 and just party forever and have fun. You start to realize, like, I gotta buckle down. Oh, god damn it, I didn't prepare for this. But that's why I can give Richard the benefit of the doubt. He might just be this dramatic naturally because he's so young. But let's continue to see what he shows.
So you are lying here, you're lying here now, which is it? 19. I think I lie. And what do you do? Do you go to school? Yes, full time. You're at college? Yes. Where do you go?
Okay, so he's got to be at least smart enough to get into college. Let's
Go to college. Long Beach City. Long Beach City. What are you studying? I want to be an engineer.
I don't know anything about Long Beach City, but he's at least showing the aptitude to go to college and continue to go to college full time. So he's going to be one of the smarter predators. I guess, man, it's got to be a weighted score, but he's got to be a 9 out of 10 because he's just by virtue of being a full-time student. I gotta better research my scores. I gotta consider more predators, but we're gonna judge just by the predators that I've covered so far, and just based on those predators, he's a 9 out of 10 because he's the smartest out of the bunch. That might change as we get to like Dr. Wolin, for example, but let's focus on Richard for now.
Probably not after today.
He did not become an engineer. It does not, at least I can't find anything about him fulfilling his dream of becoming an engineer. It's not to say it didn't happen, but the odds are against him, unfortunately. Well, like I said, justifiably, and the whole thing about him still being on RSO is sketchy. Very sketchy.
It says 13 female Riverside. Damn, what, you're young. Still a virgin? No, really. Measurement 32B. Oh, okay, not bad. When did you lose your virginity? Summer or two. My boyfriend, still with him?
He is asking all the classic Predo questions. They all seem to have the same scripts, or at least the majority of them. They want to know bra size, virginity, who they, past partners' dick size, and how theirs compares in David Demir's case. So, not looking good for you, Richard. You're in the mold. You're in the path of the Predo right now, so hopefully you show us that you have at least a little bit of regret and repentance. I better.
Jeez.
No. I know exactly what it looks like. So you like having sex?
Oh, Richard. his whining.
I would feel bad doing anything with you,
Pretty
but it is tempting.
whining. It's of the highest
Sir,
quality.
I know what I wrote. And just, if you have a gun, just shoot me right now, because my life is finished. What were you thinking about, Richard?
This does seem to be genuine. I can not relate to the Predator part, but just feeling when you were 19, 20, like, oh, fuck, everything's done. This is the end of my life, and now you look back on it, you're like, god damn, I was a dumbass. But, you know, you live and learn, hopefully, and hopefully you learn and live without making a fatal mistake, or a mistake that changes your life irrevocably, such as in Richard's case.
With the wrong head, sir.
Wow.
He thought with the wrong head.
Now you know the
There's the line. He was thinking with his dickhead, not his brain in his upper head.
picture that you sent, right? Yes, I did, and that's a felony, isn't it? I have them all, sir. That one.
He knows exactly what he's fallen into.
Now, you know it's against the law to send. Yes, I know. Somebody who you think is unright. Am I going to jail?
Yes, you are.
My house. Kicked off with me. No, my parents never got me.
Man, he's talking about he's gonna get kicked out of his house. He's gonna never be talked to again by his family and friends. He went to North Carolina and got married, so that didn't happen. His family, I believe, supported him. He probably did lose a lot of friends, and it was probably really awkward and unpleasant for him. But in that moment, man, wow. Just being 19 and realizing in that moment that you're going to have to tell everybody you know who asks or who's close enough to know that you're going to be on the RSO. You're going to be a registered sex offender. And then years later, this comes out. This was unaired at the time. But years later, this comes out of the blue. I think it was leaked by somebody. Somebody leaked it in 2011, if I'm not incorrect. You know what? Hang on one second. You know what? I'm sorry. I tried to find out. I think I heard either Walls or Fast Eddie say that it came out in 2011, but I'm going to have to go back and find out. Anyway, just it came out later after it was left on the cutting room floor, so he thought he was in the clear from at least that. He still had enough problems, but oh man, just imagine in this moment, after you get sentenced and put on the RSO would be another difficult moment. And then you'd get brief relief and respite when you find out that you did not get aired on this show. And then years later, when you aren't even thinking about it, all of a sudden you get told by somebody you know, dude, you were on To Catch a Predator? You're a predator? You're a predator, you motherfucker? No, hopefully nobody punched him in the face unexpectedly after seeing it. But that would be just a soul-crushing moment to know that all of a sudden you're famous, and at least within to a certain degree. And here we are doing this 11 years later, still talking about him. Oh, by the way, speaking of, shout out to Charles Lee LUV for posting the video. Sorry, man, ma'am or man. Charles is a male name, though, so sorry, man, I always forget to credit until it's so late in the video. And this is a long video because Richard is so young and it's just relatable. And I just have so much to say about him. So I apologize if you were expecting it to be shorter. So let's just continue and I'll try to speed up. There is a lot of crying.
Did you have second thoughts? If you read the message, I always said I was iffy and I didn't really think about doing it. I didn't really want to do it.
That's not.
I can't get that thought out of my head. What thought? Doing something with a girl your age. Look at the last. Look, see? I was thinking about it the whole time. I didn't think it was right. I don't know why I came over here. But you're here, Richard. Yes, I know. I'm sorry, sir.
That's the face of a defeated man right there. Oh. Ooh, Richard. He was not really that iffy, and he brought 3 boxes of condoms, so it doesn't really wash that he was iffy about it.
You talk to kids like this on the internet all the time? To tell you the truth, I swear to God, this is the first time I ever did this.
To tell you the truth,
Oh.
I swear to God, this is the first time. He's adding extra, like, modifiers to reinforce that he's never done it before, which, again, I find suspicious.
Talk to older women. Can you detail? Huh? This is pretty graphic stuff here. Why do you get into a conversation with somebody who says it? Why do you go there? Why do you avoid the whole thing, huh? I mean, you don't expect me to be dumb kid. If I was showing you...
Chris Hansen is just jabbing this guy left and right. He sees it, he's down, he's wounded. Richard's bleeding out on the ground, and Chris Hansen doesn't relent. He just goes in for the kill and just continues to give him the business until he's just a sobbing mess.
Any more messages from anyone else? They're all older. So why this? Why today? I have no clue.
It doesn't matter if you're talking to other older women, Richard. You're talking to this young woman.
Explain to me why a 19-year-old, almost 20-year-old kid gets on the internet and starts a sexually charged conversation with a girl who's 13. How does that happen? Are you addicted to the internet? Yes, I am. You are? Yes. I'm on there a lot of the time.
Richard sees an out. He sees a life ring and he grabs onto it with all his might. Yes, I'm addicted to the internet. He sees that Chris is kind of foolish when it comes to this regard and somehow thinks that internet addiction is related to Pareto behavior, which, again, it's not, because everybody's got the internet on their phone these days, so they've got it constantly. But anyway, Richard sees a life ring. He grabs it. Let's see how this plays out.
So you have a compulsion. Yes. And addiction. Yeah, and I have to try to stop that. I tried working out. I bought myself money.
Chris is just giving him excuses. You have an addiction, a compulsion. Like, what the fuck, Chris? Why are you giving him these outs?
Uncle bought us a gym. I'm trying to work out, stay off the internet, because, like, yeah.
Oh, man, he connects it. There you go. And he plays it very well with his little... it's looking more like an act, because he plays that off so well by going, I try to work out to stay off the internet because of this. And he points over. And then he breaks down, he saw that Chris gave him an out. Chris just gave him a couple more outs, and then Richard finally connects it. Internet addiction to the predatory behavior and seals the deal with a bit of sobbing and tears. Misstep by Chris Hansen right there, in my opinion. Let's continue.
I know, sir.
Eyes are all
This is fun for me.
breathing all
I
heavy.
know.
That's a classic line by Chris.
This is fun for me. I know.
This is definitely fun for Chris Hansen. Do not let him lie to you, Richard. Call him out, damn it. Chris Hansen does enjoy this, and we're all glad that he does enjoy it as much as he does, because it's given us some fantastic content.
I'm going to jail.
You are.
Well, there's something you gotta know.
Oh, God. Oh,
Do you
jeez.
watch television? Yes. You ever watch Dateline NBC? Yes. Did you ever see our stories on computer predators? Sir, am I on TV right now? Not live TV, but these cameras are rolling. You are obviously welcome to leave right now. But I'm going to get in trouble by the FBI and everything. I don't want my face on the camera. Well, then you're welcome to leave.
It's a little late.
I'm going to get in trouble with all...
Sorry, I had to grab some water. Excuse me. This just got so much worse for Richard because as much as he fears jail and prison, social humiliation is probably the most important thing to him. That age, your peers and your social standing matters so much more to you than it does, as you get older. So he just realized that not only are the people that know him going to find out from him or from friends or people talking about him that he's on the RSO list and that this happened, now people across the country might find out that this happened and that that all this went live. So that must just be incomprehensible. There's the word. It's incomprehensible to him, like the magnitude of what's happening, or at least I would believe so, because he sits there and sobs, but he's more afraid of going outside and getting in trouble when he really should be more afraid of those camera crews. But then again, the more immediate problem is always going to be jail or prison. Being in jail or prison, you feel like you can't do anything, and everything's a million times more difficult, like getting with your lawyer and stuff. I don't speak from experience, but I just, when you're at your home, even if you're on house arrest, you can at least have all your stuff around you. But jail is always going to be more frightening in the moment, while, I don't know why I said it like that, while social humiliation of the TV show is going to be a more abstract fear in the moment, at least. That's something that they're going to think about later, because it's not the immediate issue, which is police, arrest, jail. Possible prison for, decades.
Everything, we don't know who's going to be in the story and who's not. But you guys are calling the cops and everything? I'm just doing a story. And I don't know...
Chris doesn't give him an inch.
Who's going to be in the story and who's not, because we haven't gotten that far. If you give me a phone number, I'll get...
Richard is talking about the police, and Chris continues to talk about the TV show. I wonder if that's on purpose to just... I'm sure it is, because he doesn't want to give Richard a straight answer about the police outside, but Richard clearly is going to keep asking and is smart enough that he can't be thrown off by, lines, vague lines.
I don't know what's going to happen right now, because the rest of my life just changed dramatically.
Oh man, some of the predators have no idea of how much trouble they're in. Some do, but this guy is acutely aware of it, because I was once probably in a similar situation to him, or like a similar life situation, not this situation at all, but like a life situation, just being a white guy, like growing up in the suburbs. So I could put myself in this position and think about what would happen if I ended up in this position, just ignoring that I would never be in this position because of all the other stuff involved. But just imagining what that's like, it's momentous. Like, this moment is when everything changed for him, and we are seeing it as it happened, as it played out. That is what TCAP is all about. These superhuman, not superhuman, but like extremely human moments, extremely dramatic human moments, extremely human moments of drama. Actually, that's what I want to keep it as. That's the better way to say it. But that's what we're here for. That's like the kernel of truth, of universal truth, is hidden in these reactions. Law and order, justice, like it's all playing out right here on our screen. Okay, I'm sorry. We gotta finish up.
I'm gonna go to jail for trying to talk to a 13-year-old, which I never do, and I don't understand why the did it.
Too late, Richard.
I'm gonna go home and find a job.
Does his shirt say "fuck more"? Oh boy, does it? Fuck more. One of those funny T-shirts that cursed without actually spelling it out, but said it phonetically. Cool guy.
Stupid.
Dang.
No, I don't want anything. I want a ball case for the head. Stupid ass.
Why didn't he have these kind of feelings and thoughts before he did it? Like, giving it serious thought. I guess I can relate in one sense in that I used to do some drugs that are not good for you. Basically all of them, but opiates were a specific issue. And I remember not, wanting to go score, knowing what a bad idea it was and how much was at stake for me to not do it, and how many reasons I had to not do it, and then slowly just convincing myself to do it by one, like justifying or somehow explaining away the various risks and potential costs of getting caught with it or getting arrested with it, or so many different things, overdosing, whatever. Just finally, once you explain all those away, you're ready to go score, and you say fuck the consequences, like it's already decided I'm going. So it probably is similar to what these guys do, because the nature of addiction is similar throughout different addictions, and fantasizing about it is one way to convince yourself to do something that some radical or antisocial behavior like this. You don't just get up and do it. You have to, normal people have to build themselves up and, normalize it to themselves. Excuse me. Anyway, let's go. I should mention, it's been many years since I engaged in opiates, so that's a good thing. Now we just have some crying.
I want you to get some pressure. Don't take care of these things. FBI or what other agency?
Okay, I can.
I live 30 miles away.
You don't live across state lines, man.
Can you just call the cops right now so I can go to jail?
Why don't you go outside? They can.
I don't want to go outside.
They are outside.
And I think we're going to have to. Why?
He's defiant.
Richard, you just can't stay here forever. I know I am.
Forever. He just lives here now. The cops just wait outside for him to come out, and he just never does. Slow pan out is great cinematography to reveal the camera guy over there and Chris standing there on the left. It's just so well framed. You get all these, like, he fills the left side, this fills the upper, he fills the right side, and they all come out at different times and are exposed at different moments. And it's just such a great shot. For anything, and especially, for TCAP, you get this coming to cover the bottom, him, Chris, this thing, the guy holding it, and then this stuff to cover the bottom.
6'2"?
I gotta skip through this because
Pictures.
it's gotta
Well, you obviously know something because you're a reporter and you're doing a story. And you said you do this for a living.
It's usually against the law to send
I've seen pictures of the internet with somebody who's underage, yes.
Okay, but it's like, what is, do you know the charge or anything?
It's different in different jurisdictions.
Chris is just evading masterfully.
So they go on federal law, so they go on local laws.
So what, jail time?
It depends. Again, I'm not a lawyer, I can't give legal advice, but, there are a lot of different factors that come into account there.
What a bizarre dynamic right now. Like, Chris the reporter, Chris and Richard have never met before this. They met under these extreme circumstances, and now they're having this bizarre conversation about whether he's going to go to jail or prison. And Chris doesn't want to give him a straight answer. Doesn't want to just come out and say, like, yeah, the cops are outside. Go. They're going to arrest you. Leave. So, it's just a very bizarre dynamic between the two. And there's the age difference. Like, Chris could be his father, so maybe that's why he's talking to him like a disappointed father.
All I can talk about is the story. And again, we've made no decisions as to who's in the story or anything like that. But as I said, I'll be happy to call you and let you know how that goes.
Let you know. Love the way Chris says, yo. I can't even say it the way that Chris says it.
Call you and let you know how that goes in a couple weeks. That's all I can do for you.
That's the strange thing about Richard. And Lud14 said that he thought, or they thought, I don't know, male or female, but they thought that Richard Breault was an interesting character, and they're absolutely right, because he's just more relatable than a lot of the other Predators. It's hard to relate to, like, a sweaty old creep like JPW, or, some of the just very fat, Lee Greers of the world. But Richard, you can just relate more to him, and he's saying these very relatable things, like, my mom's gonna kill me, my dad's gonna kill me, I'm such a fucking idiot. And everybody's felt that way at one point. Everybody's felt that they're a fucking idiot and that they made a huge mistake, and that, so-and-so is gonna kill me, this person's gonna kill me, I'm in so much trouble. Hopefully not to this level, but, back when I was a wild one, back when I was actually just a little bit older than Richard here, I got a DWI, and that shit, it's surreal getting arrested and going to the station. It's like a dream, because it's such a serious thing, such a life-changing or possibly life-changing event. In my case, it did change my life. I stopped drinking, so it helped. But it's just such a huge event that it's hard to take in the consequences. I've experienced it to lesser degrees after, like, ending a really long-term relationship. When somebody says, like, I think we should break up, and you're living with them, you just are like, oh my god, everything changes. I'm going to have to move. Like, whoa, everything on a dime, just like that, as Chris would say. I can get it like that. Anyway, so I'm sure Richard is experiencing that kind of surreal, dreamlike state where the ramifications of this moment are so momentous that you can't even comprehend them in their entirety in the moment, because you're full of adrenaline, you're fucking freaking out. So maybe I'm totally wrong and Richard's like a psychopath, but it feels more like he's just more relatable than so many of the other grosser, pervier Predators. Don't get me wrong, though. His chat was pervy and nasty all on its own. So, You know, he's relatable, but he still is a fucking predo and does not deserve our pity for what happened to him. You know, we can relate to him and see that in him and relate to him as a human and see that we still have that connection despite his terrible crimes. And that's important. People who have committed serious crimes but want to get better, you need to see that connection in them in order to help them reintegrate with society. Because you don't want to make like a sex predator or murderer do it again, because then, you know, we're responsible to protect possible victims, future victims of Richard, and some of that means connecting to them on a human level, if not like any sort of friend or relationship level. Like, you don't have to have a relationship with these guys or condone anything they did. You can condemn them in their entirety, but still recognize that, like, they're humans and they can hopefully improve and do better so that there won't be any future victims. I'm getting real deep on this one. Yeah, Lud 14, good choice on Richard. I really wanted to make this a good one, to make it count in case there was any long drives coming up. Let's go. Just a long silence. That's Charles Lee LUV. Sound effects. Not Chris Hansen. Chris waves away the cameras. Okay, so that's the end of Richard. Basically, Chris waves away the cameras. They turn them off. Who knows what happened next? If Chris like pushed him out himself, or had, you know, the police come in to grab him. Who knows? Or did Ron Knight like pick him up and physically throw him out the door? So he cracked on the concrete, and the cops then jumped on him and arrested him. We don't know. But that is the end of his video. Just a quick follow-up. Here he is in his latest RSO picture in 2019. So he's, you know, filled out for sure, but you can still see the young Richard in there, I guess. I hope he's doing, you know, good things and not bad things. You know, I don't condone anything he did, but if he is living a decent enough life that he is not molesting or preying on young girls, that's a net positive for society. And I'm in favor of a net positive for society, so, you know, he seems like one of the guys that might have been able to turn it around and live a normal life, like I said at the beginning, so let's hope that's true. Anyway, this video is already way too long, so it's been fun. Thank you very much for listening if you made it this long, and catch you on the flip side.